The football world stood still when reports surfaced of Patrick Mahomes making a decision that could alter the Kansas City Chiefs' future. Known for his composure and competitive spirit, Mahomes has always projected stability. But this moment was different. His statement wasn't impulsive. It carried the weight of reflection and consequence. Fans, analysts, and teammates were caught off guard, unsure how to interpret his tone. It wasn't about money or fame. It was about legacy, direction, and purpose. The quarterback who brought Kansas City back to dominance appeared at a crossroads, and his words revealed that the journey ahead might not be as predictable as many believed. The timing of his decision, arriving amid off-season uncertainty, only intensified speculation. Every phrase he delivered carried subtext, a man torn between loyalty and evolution. Across the league, reactions poured in, questioning whether the Chiefs' dynasty had reached its defining moment. What Mahomes said next would shape not just the team's strategy, but the entire NFL narrative moving forward. Sources close to the organization revealed that Mahomes' decision had been building quietly for months. It wasn't triggered by one event, but rather a collection of circumstances. Roster changes, locker room dynamics, and long-term vision. The Chiefs' front office had been under pressure to maintain dominance despite salary cap limitations and the constant challenge of rebuilding around a superstar quarterback. Mahomes, ever the leader, had expressed growing concern about consistency and alignment within the team's future plans. His relationship with coach Andy Reid remained strong, but philosophical differences were beginning to emerge regarding play calling and personnel strategy. Internally, Mahomes wanted assurances that the organization would continue prioritizing competitiveness over complacency. Those conversations, initially private, eventually evolved into what is now being viewed as a defining career decision. What makes this moment powerful isn't drama, it's introspection. Mahomes' choice represents a turning point between security and vision, revealing how even the most stable dynasties can tremble when their foundation begins to shift beneath quiet internal tension. Within hours of Mahomes' statement, the Chiefs' leadership convened a series of private discussions. Head coach Andy Reid, general manager Brett Veach, and ownership all understood the gravity of the situation. The organization has long relied on Mahomes as both their strategic centerpiece and cultural anchor. His words, carefully chosen yet emotionally charged, signaled more than frustration. They reflected a quarterback aware of his immense influence. Reid's response was calm but firm. Reports suggest he reassured Mahomes that every decision moving forward would reflect collaboration. Still, the leadership team recognized that trust needed reaffirmation. The front office began reviewing roster priorities, contract restructures, and staff adjustments aimed at restoring complete alignment. For years, the Chiefs' formula seemed unshakable: elite coaching, sharp drafting, and Mahomes' brilliance. Now, that formula faces its first true test. Inside the building, the mood shifted from confidence to urgency. Everyone understood that preserving the bond between Mahomes and the organization was no longer optional. It was essential to the franchise's survival. Among teammates, Mahomes' revelation sparked a mixture of surprise and understanding. Travis Kelce, his longtime ally, was reportedly one of the first to reach out privately. Their connection has always gone beyond football. It's built on trust and shared ambition. Younger players, meanwhile, interpreted Mahomes' stance as a challenge, a signal to raise standards. Inside the locker room, respect for their quarterback only deepened. They saw not a disgruntled star, but a leader demanding excellence. Yet uncertainty loomed. Would his decision affect off-season activities? Could the chemistry that powered multiple championship runs endure this test? Veterans acknowledge that leadership often requires uncomfortable moments, and this was one of them. Mahomes' transparency created ripples, but it also redefined expectations. The locker room recognized that the margin between dominance and decline is razor thin. Unity would now depend on how the team responded, not with words, but with discipline, accountability, and commitment to the culture that Mahomes himself helped build from the ground up. Across Kansas City, the reaction was instantaneous and emotional. Fans flooded social platforms with messages ranging from support to disbelief. For many, Mahomes isn't just a quarterback. He represents hope, leadership, and the embodiment of a city's pride. National media seized the story, spinning speculation into daily analysis. Was Mahomes signaling dissatisfaction, or was this a strategic message to management? Sports networks debated his future, while former players offered perspective on what such a declaration might mean. Through the noise, one theme remained constant. Mahomes' influence extends far beyond the field. His voice carries weight across the entire league, shaping conversations about loyalty, leadership, and player empowerment. For Chiefs fans, the uncertainty cut deep, not because of fear, but because of reverence. They've watched him turn deficits into miracles, games into memories. Now they face a different kind of challenge, trusting that their hero's decision, however shocking, might ultimately secure the team's future rather than threaten it. Beneath the headlines lies a more complex truth. Mahomes' decision didn't arise from frustration alone. It was driven by awareness. Over the past 2 seasons, cracks began to appear in the Chiefs' system. The offensive line faced constant adjustments, while defensive inconsistencies tested patience. Key departures and contract negotiations created ripple effects throughout the roster. Mahomes, known for his adaptability, carried increasing responsibility to compensate for shortcomings. Though he rarely voiced concern publicly, those close to him noted his growing focus on structure and sustainability. He wants a dynasty built to endure, not one dependent solely on his brilliance. The decision was his way of resetting priorities. It wasn't rebellion, it was leadership in its truest form. By confronting challenges early, Mahomes forced difficult conversations the organization could no longer postpone. His actions underline a critical truth in professional sports. Greatness demands evolution. The Chiefs' next chapter now depends on whether they interpret his stance as a warning or an opportunity to rebuild stronger than ever. Mahomes' decision, while personal, carries massive implications for the Chiefs' direction. If his intent was to initiate organizational change, it has already succeeded. The front office now faces critical decisions about contract structures, talent retention, and coaching alignment. Players approaching free agency will weigh the stability of the team differently. Draft strategies may shift toward protecting and maximizing Mahomes' prime years. Meanwhile, the league is watching closely. Rival teams understand that Kansas City's internal dynamics influence the balance of power across the AFC. If the Chiefs falter, competitors are ready to capitalize. Yet, history shows Mahomes thrives under pressure. This period could either redefine the franchise's resilience or expose its vulnerabilities. The coming months will determine whether his decision becomes a catalyst for renewal or the beginning of decline. What remains certain is that Mahomes has forced the organization to confront complacency. The question is no longer whether the Chiefs can win. It's whether they can evolve fast enough to keep up with their own expectations. Andy Reid has been the cornerstone of Mahomes' professional journey. Their partnership transformed the Chiefs from contenders to champions, blending Reid's tactical genius with Mahomes' generational talent. Yet, even strong relationships face defining crossroads. Insiders suggest that Reid views this moment not as conflict, but as clarity. He understands that true leadership evolves through accountability. Reid's philosophy has always been player first, but balancing that with organizational vision requires adaptation. The challenge now lies in refreshing offensive creativity, ensuring Mahomes continues to thrive without being overburdened. Reid has built dynasties before. He knows how to rebuild from within. His calm approach remains the team's greatest asset amid turbulence. Privately, he sees Mahomes' decision as validation, a reminder that his star quarterback cares deeply about the Chiefs' direction. The veteran coach's ability to realign focus, rebuild trust, and sustain hunger will define this era. In Reid's mind, this isn't an ending. It's the moment that could reignite Kansas City's competitive fire once again. For Mahomes, every move is now intertwined with legacy. He's already achieved what most players can only dream of: MVPs, Super Bowls, and a global following. But great athletes measure themselves not by what they've done, but by what remains to be achieved. His decision reflects an awareness that dynasties aren't sustained by talent alone. They require alignment, hunger, and trust at every level. Pressure has never fazed him. It fuels him. Yet, this chapter introduces a different kind of test, one that extends beyond football. It's about leadership maturity, shaping the future rather than reacting to it. Mahomes knows that his influence can redefine how franchises treat player collaboration. The risk is high, but so is the reward. In challenging the organization, he isn't distancing himself. He's demanding excellence for everyone. If he succeeds, this decision won't be remembered as a disruption, but as the bold move that secured his place among the most transformative figures in NFL history. Patrick Mahomes' shocking decision has reshaped the conversation around the Kansas City Chiefs, and perhaps the entire league. What seemed like uncertainty is, in truth, evolution. His choice forces introspection across all levels of the organization, from coaches to executives to players. It reminds the world that greatness isn't a destination, but a pursuit that demands honesty, recalibration, and courage. The Chiefs now stand at a defining threshold. They can either reaffirm their dynasty through renewed unity or risk losing momentum to complacency. For Mahomes, this isn't rebellion, it's vision. His leadership, once defined by highlights and trophies, is now characterized by conviction. He's chosen to influence not just games, but the very structure that supports success. The story remains unwritten, but one truth endures. Kansas City's identity has always mirrored its quarterback's resolve. If Mahomes is willing to challenge comfort for the sake of greatness, then the Chiefs' future, though uncertain, may ultimately become their most powerful chapter yet.